News Talk 610 CKTV is live with Larry Fedoruk.
By now, I hope you're familiar with the phrase, help kids shine. It's that time of year again. It's our annual campaign, Help Kids Shine. What we're trying to do is raise awareness and funds, much needed funds, for the Niagara Children's Center. They provide rehabilitation and support services for children and youth with physical, developmental, communicative delays and disabilities for the entire Niagara region. And through this month on all the shows, you'll be hearing from various families and staff from this most wonderful place, Niagara Children's Center. It's Help Kids Shine. If you go to our website, 610ckTB.com, you can link to helpkidsshine.ca and make a donation. Maybe you could do that right now, or right after we hear from the manager of rehabilitation services at Niagara Children's Center, Dorothy Harvey, who joins us now on the telephone. Hello, Dorothy.
Hi, Larry. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Excellent, thank you.
I love your place. I love the Children's Center.
Yes, and we really love the support that you've provided us, and that the community has provided us. So glad you enjoy us.
And we make this point that you rely on a lot of community support, to help children year to year.
Yes, absolutely. So in particular for my program, a good number of programs are actually funded through fundraised dollars, and we wouldn't be able to provide some of the types of things that we do, like recreation therapy, without that. So I feel very dear to this particular project and to this particular campaign because I know what it does for our services, and I know that if we didn't have this particular campaign and we didn't have the fundraising support of our community, that we would actually have more children that we would not be able to serve. So it's a very exciting time for us, but it's also one where we get a little anxious about making sure that people are supporting us and that we certainly look forward to providing the services that our community is asking us to provide.
We're talking about 3,400 children a year. Is that an accurate number?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So as an organization as a whole, we're about 3,400. For our rehabilitation services, which serves more of our multi-needs clients, we're about 1,500 children a year.
Right. And the dreaded waiting list, there are kids who need to get in, families who want to get in who can't because of lack of funding, I guess.
Yeah. What we have currently is, sort of overall from an organizational point of view, we have about 480 kids on the waiting list and another 120 that have been assessed but haven't actually started their therapy yet. The fundraised dollars go to supporting programs that both help us support kids while they're waiting, so some additional programs that we can provide them until their name comes up for a spot on our list, but it also makes sure that we don't have more than that amount of kids on the waiting list.
And we talk to families, too, and they always talk about once they are in the center and taking some of the services, how great it is and how it's changed their lives. The opposite of that is being on that waiting list and waiting for that call. Oh.
It's a terribly anxiety-provoking time for families that, somebody has identified that their child has a need. They're not necessarily clear on what the extent of that is, what are the long-term implications of that. So definitely being on a waiting list when you have a child that needs service is a very hard thing for families.
Dorothy Harvey is the manager of rehabilitation services at the Niagara Children's Center. You talked about some of the therapies, core services there. You mentioned recreation therapy. Tell me about that. What is that?
So rec therapy is a program. So part of our goal at the Children's Center is to ensure that kids have the ability to both participate in their communities as well as have good quality of life. So recreation therapy actually is a program that's kind of a complementary program to some of our more, what we would consider core services. So people are aware of physiotherapy and occupational therapy and speech-language pathology. What rec therapy does is allow us to look at what are the skills that a child would require to participate in a community event. So to go swimming at the Y, to be able to play on a challenger baseball team. And what we do here at the center is break some of those core skills down, teach the children how they can take that, the ability to move that we might do in physiotherapy therapy to now put that into something that they can do out in their own community. And part of what we do with our recreation therapy program is both go out to the community to help providers out in the community, other community organizations, be able to include our children in some of their programs, but we also run some fundamental programs here that enable the children to learn the skills in a very supportive environment and then feel more confident, and the parents to feel more confident when they go out into the community.
Well, even to play and with siblings in some cases.
Absolutely.
You know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I know people shouldn't confuse because there's a school at Niagara Children's Center,
Yes,
and there's
there
kids
is.
who go to school there.
Yep.
But in these cases, I think you're talking about making sure kids function in their own schools and in their own
Absolutely.
community outside.
Yeah, so that's a component, and that's definitely a component of what we do both for our outpatient therapy programs as well for school-aged children, and we run a number of groups for school-aged children specifically, again, because sometimes the supports that they can get in school are somewhat limited, so that we then provide supplemental programs for them to come in, learn a skill here, doesn't take away from their academics, and then, again, they will be able to participate more within their school. We also do provide school visits for a couple of our programs. One of our programs is our augmentative communication program, so that's really where we look at technology to help kids either who can't have the ability to use a regular keyboard for written communication or who can't have verbal, and we do a lot of consultation with both of our school boards related to those children. So you see us out in the schools as well as here at the center.
How much has technology changed your lives at the Children's Center and the kids' lives as well?
Well, it has changed in a number of areas, certainly in terms of looking at the access our kids have now to technology that's much cheaper than it used to be, much more readily available. iPads would be a really good example, and some of the apps that are on iPads. But even when we think about things like our recent Gate Lab that was really sponsored by our Niagara Community Foundation as well as the Sir Winston Churchill Children, those are areas where we now can do things that give us a better insight into what's happening with our kids, allow us to do better therapy with the children, but also in some cases allow us to not have to have surgical procedures for them, for example. So it's both some of the medical advances that we're seeing as well as some of the technological advances. And, of course, the other big component and what fundraised dollars help us do is also make us have the ability to have staff who are very well qualified. So we spend a significant amount of professional development dollars. Those often do come from some of our fundraised areas so that we can make sure that we have staff that have gone to state-of-the-art courses, and we can bring that back to the Niagara community.
Yeah, I know you said iPad, and it's often more complicated than that and more expensive than that, too.
Yes,
so,
yes.
Yeah.
We have everything from that, what we would consider the more accessible technology in terms of cost, to devices that might be $15,000, $25,000 for particularly for kids who may not have the ability to use their hands to access something. I mean, iPads are great for particular populations of kids, but if you've got a very significant physical disability and the only thing that really moves is your eyes, then that technology gets much, much more expensive for sure.
Now, you're a manager of rehabilitation services.
Yes.
We talked about recreation therapy. What are some of the other rehabilitation services offered?
Obviously our physiotherapy, our occupational therapy, speech-language pathology, social work. We have medical services. We have 3 consulting physicians that work with us that are part of our team. And then we also have support staff. So we run a program, or we administer a program here called Special Services at Home, which is a ministry-funded program, but it's not always easy for families to use their funds or to know exactly what they can do with their funds or to be able to manage their funds. So we do that on behalf of about 350 families in our community.
We talk a lot about the therapists and various staff. I don't know if we've talked a lot about social workers. They really pull things together for families and kids.
Yeah, we are very fortunate here. We have an amazing social work staff, and they both provide supportive counseling for the families. They provide grief counseling. We have social workers who have been trained to provide parenting, specific parenting, program called Triple P that looks at helping families with kids with disabilities around behavioral concerns, and we run that in coordination with one of our community partners. And then we also do a lot of work around things like transitioning services. So we help the kids and their families transition into school. Our social workers are fundamental to that. And we also run programs for when our children are getting close to being an adult to help families understand what are the services and supports that might be available for them as they're moving into the adult system. And that's a very key component of our social work here at the Children's Center.
Well, just amazing. It's why I love you guys. Your amazing work there at Niagara Children's Center. And Dorothy, Harvey, thank you so much for your time today.
Well, thank you, Larry.
Dorothy Harvey is manager of rehabilitation services. It's Help Kids Shine. That is the overall umbrella for this campaign for Niagara Children's Center. And we hope to raise awareness, yes, but we hope to raise funds. This is a fundraiser for the month of May. You can donate online at helpkidsshine.ca. You can call 905-688-3550. I encourage people to drop by in person. They're at 567 Glenridge in St. Catharines, across from Brock. And you can't just show up and walk around. You show up with your checkbook and make a check payable to Niagara Children's Center, or make a payment, make a donation there in person. But if you can ever get down there and get a sense of what that place is, it's just there. It's from outside, kind of nondescript, and through the front door immediately you get that this is a magical place. And please don't take that word the wrong way. It isn't magic. They know what they're doing. But it's just the spirit that comes out of that place is magical at times because of the work they do with kids in need. You can join the Help Kids Shine Club. That's a donation of $15 a month. You can use your credit card to make that donation safely and securely, but make a donation and encourage your friends to do the same. And I've given you a lot of information there, so how's this for one last little piece of information? 610cktb.com. You know our website, and you can link to Help Kids Shine from there and get all of this information and more.